morning and welcome to Morning Movie News, where, as I said on Monday, we're having a big week for giveaways here on the show. We kick things off on Monday with another giveaway from our friends at Dolby Atmos. This time 3 copies of the Blu-ray for The Gunman, that Sean Penn as Liam Neeson movie that came out a few months ago. And that film not only used Dolby Atmos technology for its theatrical sound mix, but also for its home release. So the rules this time were that you needed to tweet me one sentence on why you were excited to watch The Gunman in the comfort of your own home. We couldn't do the usual one-sentence review because not a lot of people saw The Gunman in theaters. But I thought it was a solid film and certainly something that I think would be enjoyed at home. So I'm going to announce the 3 winners of that giveaway and then our new giveaway for today. So again, you had to tweet me your one sentence as to why you want to watch The Gunman at home, and you had to include the hashtag Dolby Atmos. And if you hear your name here, go over to your Twitter account and check your messages, your direct messages, because you've got one from me on how to get you your free copy of the film, again, from Dolby Atmos. Alright, so third place goes to BTG viewer Marvin Campos. And Marvin said, at Grace Randolph, I would love for my dad and I to sit back and see a classic actor doing classic things with a classic gun. Hashtag Dolby Atmos. Loved it. I thought that was really great, and I love that Marvin wants to watch it with his dad. So congrats, Marvin. Great, great one sentence as to why you want to watch The Gunman. Then second place, you guys also had some fun with this contest. You guys always have fun with these contests, which make them fun for me, and I hope fun when you hear the winners. But BTG viewer Robert Shum came in second, and Robert said, at Grace Randolph, I want to test myself to see if a shirtless Sean Penn will distract me from the plot. Hashtag Dolby Atmos. That's great. I particularly like that because Robert is referencing my review of The Gunman, where I said that Sean Penn took his shirt off so many times during the movie and had worked out so much that he looked pretty darn good that it distracted you from any problems with the plot of the film. Good callback, Robert, and I hope you enjoy The Gunman yourself. You'll have to let me know if the shirtlessness does work for you as well. And then, in first place, this is Sam Reinders. And Sam said, at Grace Randolph, I'd like to see if doing his best Liam Neeson impression cheers Sean Penn up a bit. Hashtag Dolby Atmos. I thought that was great. Thought it was very, very clever and definitely worthy of the first place. So congrats, Marvin, Robert, and Sam. Again, check your Twitter accounts for how to get your free copy of The Gunman. Alright, so today's giveaway is for anyone going to San Diego Comic-Con. This giveaway does not include any kind of travel or accommodations at Comic-Con. You have to already be going there. But if you're going to be at Comic-Con, I have 20 tickets to give away to the screening of the X-Men Days of Future Past Rogue Cut that Fox Home Entertainment will be doing at the convention. You, of course, will be able to buy X-Men Rogue Cut July 14th, but this is right before that it hits the stores, not stands, I guess stores. It will be on a stand in the store, I suppose. But anyway, you'll also get a chance to see it on the big screen with a Comic-Con crowd. Now, anyone, of course, can see this screening, but you're going to have to get online and you might not get in. What this ticket does is if I select you in this competition, if you're one of the 20, you'll get an email from Fox Home Entertainment that if you take that to the theater for the screening, as long as you show up before the screening starts, you're guaranteed admission. I wouldn't get there at the last minute because who knows what kind of seat you're going to get, but you don't have to worry about not getting in if you are responsible about getting there in a timely fashion. Alright, so what's the competition? You have to tweet me at Grace Randolph your one sentence as to why Rogue is such an awesome character, which shouldn't be hard because Rogue is an awesome character. And you have to include the hashtag RogueCut. Alright, so again, tweet me at Grace Randolph your one sentence as to why Rogue is an awesome character and include the hashtag RogueCut. You have until the end of the day tomorrow, Thursday, to get me that tweet, and then I will announce the winners on Friday morning. And don't forget, you have to already be attending Comic-Con. This will not get you to Comic-Con at all. I mean, maybe you could enter for a friend if you know they're going to Comic-Con, but maybe you should just tell your friend to tweet me. All right, because then it gets kind of dicey and tricky with the whole giveaway situation. So I'm looking forward to reading all the Rogue love because I have a lot of rogue love myself. Such an awesome character. All right, so those are the giveaways. On to the 3 stories of the day. Now, the first is another holiday movie is coming together from Gary Marshall. Gary Marshall, of course, very famous early on in his career. His sister, Penny Marshall, another director, also famous for a while. I would say Gary Marshall's most famous film is Pretty Woman, and Penny Marshall's is probably a league of their own. But they don't really work that much today, but Gary Marshall has had a bit of a career resurgence with the holiday films. Valentine's Day, which was very successful, and then New Year's Eve, which was not so successful. But anyway, Julia Roberts, of course, starred in Pretty Woman. Gary Marshall made her a movie star, and she came back to work with him in Runaway Bride, Valentine's Day, and now she's coming into a new film that he's putting together called Mother's Day. Julia Roberts is set to star, and then Jennifer Aniston, who also appeared in Valentine's Day, is in talks to return, and Kate Hudson and Jason Sudeikis are also looking to join the cast. Now, you might be like, Mother's Day, is that going to be as effective as Valentine's Day? Well, let me tell you a little story. I was at Hertz renting a car, and I was just making chit-chat because I was waiting for my friends to get there so we could all leave together. And I was making chit-chat with the person who worked at Hertz. And I was like, man, you know, the holidays, I bet Thanksgiving is your most popular day, right? I mean, that's like your busiest time of year. And she was like, oh yeah, that's the biggest. And second is Mother's Day. And I was like, what? So clearly Mother's Day has hidden depths in terms of, you know, people celebrating it. And it was I thought at the time, a very touching story because I thought it was so nice that so many people rented cars to go visit their mother. Father's Day, for those of you wondering, was close behind, but not at the level of Mother's Day. I guess because everyone's like, I just saw Dad for Mother's Day, I'm not going back out there. Also, I just saw Jim Gaffigan the other day make a joke about how fathers get the cool job anyway. You know, they get to just be the fun guy while the mom has to be the bad cop, so people aren't as into celebrating the good cop. But anyway, the politics of parenting aside, I thought that was very sweet. So when I saw this headline about Mother's Day coming together, I was like, Gary Marshall's no dummy. There is a potential gold mine there in terms of box office receipts. The only hurdle is that Gary Marshall, especially in today's era of raunchy comedies, is going to need to make a movie that mothers and children feel comfortable going to see together. So therein lies the heart of the problem, and we'll see if Gary Marshall can pull it off. But I think it sounds pretty good. If I were a studio executive, especially if I'd talked to that Hertz employee, I would be all over this. I'd be like, thank goodness I was, you know, social and talked to other people and just, you know, made conversation, because now I know that Mother's Day is a big deal. All right, so that's the first story of the day. The second story is as one movie comes together, Mother's Day, another starts to kind of fall apart, and that's Kong Skull Island. This was a story breaking in Deadline. A BTT viewer actually sent it to me early this morning, and that's that J.K. Simmons and Michael Keaton are dropping out of Skull Island due to scheduling conflicts. Skull Island's production is delayed, so it's now conflicting with other projects that J.K. Simmons and Michael Keaton have planned. Tom Hiddleston is still set to star as of this morning. We'll see if anything happens there. But I wanted to talk about whether or not J.K. Simmons and Michael Keaton were right to drop out of the film. Now, they might have scheduling conflicts that are contractually set, so they might have no choice. And that is very negative, and that Legendary is like, I guess we can afford to lose these guys. You know, they're not trying to make it work, right? They're like J.K. Simmons and Michael Keaton are like, we can't shoot then. And Legendary is like, okay, you know, like, sorry, Oscar winner and Oscar nominee, we're going to go with Loki. Which at the end of the day is the safer bet box office-wise. But anyway, as for J.K. Simmons, I just saw him in Terminator Genesis, which I'll be reviewing later today. Shudder. And he was so bad in it, and it was so embarrassing for an Oscar winner to be in such a film delivering such a performance, that maybe that's one of the reasons he's like, you know what? Don't want to be in Skull Island. So I think J.K. Simmons can survive it. But Michael Keaton, I mean, you know, people are already saying that this could be another Jurassic World, right? The industry's already like, oh, Kong Skull Island is like Jurassic World. That's the hope. So who would want to not be in Jurassic World, right? I mean, who would want to be like, oh yeah, I was in Jurassic World, but I dropped out of it at the last minute. I mean, that would be horrible. So I think Michael Keaton has a lot of prestige arty films that he's in the middle of making. I think those could be shuffled around. I think that Kong Skull Island was a really important part of the Michael Keaton comeback formula, and I think that it's a genuine loss to him not to be in the film. But I'm curious to what you guys think. How do you think this affects J.K. Simmons and Michael Keaton's careers? did I say J.K. Keaton? No, J.K. Simmons and Michael Keaton's careers? And also, how does it affect Kong Skull Island? Do you care that they're no longer in the film? Or are you like, are King Kong and Tom Hiddleston still in it? Then I'm fine. Which I suspect is actually what's really going on. All right, so that's the second story of the day. Now, the third story of the day is very interesting, and if you saw my Magic Mike review, I did a regular review and a spoiler review. I talked about how funny Joe Manganiello was, and how Magic Mike XXL is the best thing I've ever seen him do. And lo and behold, he just revealed, doing press for Magic Mike XXL, that he is playing Pee-wee Herman's best friend. He has a big part in Pee-wee's upcoming Netflix movie, Pee-wee's Big Holiday. So I think that's a very interesting opportunity for Joe Manganiello, and I think that we'll see how it works for not only Pee-wee, but for Joe Manganiello going forward. And this kind of speaks to like a new developing trend that as the, comedy opens up its borders to all different types of, comedians, it used to be a comedian had a certain look, right? But now, not only, it was usually a guy, right? A white guy for quite a long time. But, that's been changing. First, we got diversity in terms of ethnicity. And then women started to become really big in comedy. And now, perhaps, attractive people are moving into comedy. Because, I've talked about John Hamm recently really nailing the his voiceover role in Minions. Some of you have pointed out that he was on the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt in a similar role, and he just did a fantastic job there. And also Rose Byrne is just so funny. She was up for Best Comedic Performance at the MTV Movie Awards for Neighbors. She did a fantastic job in Spy. And now you have Joe Manganiello, who might be making some serious inroads into the comedy area, the comedy genre. So maybe if he does a really good job in Pee-wee, he might find himself getting even more comedy roles, which is interesting because, as you know, he tried really hard to get into some comic book movies and it didn't work out. So I guess, he's going to see what he can do with comedy. So I'm curious, do you think Joe Manganiello is funny? And do you think that this is a good, career path for him? Do you think it could work out? And do you think that attractive people can be really, really funny, like really successful comedians, right? Or do they have to just usually be supporting? Seth Rogen and Jonah Hill lost a lot of weight, and suddenly people didn't think they were funny anymore. So I'm just curious, what do you think? Are you open to the idea of a really hot comedic star? All right, that's today's morning movie news. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please write down below what you think of today's top 3 stories, anything you'd like to see covered tomorrow, and any questions that you might have. And don't forget to enter for that Rogue Cut giveaway for the ticket for the screening if you're going to be at Comic-Con. All right, thanks so much for watching. Bye.